All right. So where do we lie in terms of these businesses and their tech stack, right? So I always like to show this visual just because it gives people a clear idea where TradeGecko stands in terms of their workflow and in terms of all the other systems that they use for their business, right? So as you can see, we sit in the middle of your operations and we help you facilitate reordering from your suppliers to replenish your goods. We also help you streamline the orders that you're taking from your various sales channels, whether it's a manual order, a marketplace order, or an order that's come online from your e-commerce store. And if you're doing wholesale, we provide you with a mobile app as well, so that if you guys are on the road and you need to take orders from your clients, all of that fits nicely into the TradeGecko platform. And last but not least, we help you with the fulfillment process as well by connecting to different 3PLs, different aggregators like ShipStation, ShipIt, Easy Ship, and the like. And then last but not least, we have TradeGecko Payments. So this is what we've created a couple of years back to help streamline the payment process from your wholesale clients, right? And I'll show you what that looks like in just a bit. Okay, now I'm going to switch to our actual platform and let me know if that's all good. Can you guys see the TradeGecko dashboard? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, perfect. So this is your dashboard. If you log into your setup TradeGecko account, this is what you see. And basically, it's going to give you an overview of how you're doing, right? So all of these metrics here are auto-populated from the activity within your account, and it's over a certain date range. If you scroll down, you actually see any installed app. So if Rocketspark or Zero or maybe Starship It is installed, you'll see it here and what the performance is like. We'll also give you an idea of what's pending to do within that certain date range, like any orders to ship out, overdue shipments to customers, overdue invoices from wholesalers or wholesale customers, and incoming purchase orders from your suppliers, right? So how we normally recommend setting up is that if you have an e-commerce store like Rocketspark, is to simply follow the integration process, right, from the App Store. So select the e-commerce platform that you're using. What that will do is it will bring in all the inventory and stock levels from Rocketspark into TradeGecko in the inventory tab as a list. And then from there, you'll be able to manage the catalog, the stock levels, the prices that you're publishing to that store, right? So
sure.
I'm showing you.
Sorry, Chachi, just to bump in there. Well, after Chachi's finished showing the TradeGecko side of things, we'll show you the Rocketspark side of things and how to do the product syncing from there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect. Cool. So just going back, this is the inventory page with all my main products. So I've set up an account with a very simple model. They're selling apparel. If I click into the main t-shirt, it shows me all the different variations that I sell that t-shirt in. And what I mean by that is, small, medium, large. If I'm selling this t-shirt in bundles or pack sizes, I can manage that from here as well. And it gives me an overview of what I have available, what I have on hand, meaning the total stock in my warehouse. And if I click on that, it shows me what I've committed to my customers as well in terms of their orders, right? So if you look at the prices part over here, TradeGecko is able to help you sell and buy these items in different price lists and different currencies, right? So your account would come with 3 basic price lists: wholesale, buy, and retail. But if you are dealing with a business that does wholesale as well to different customers, you can add as many price lists as you need to cater to these different discount structures that those customers have, right? All of that is managed within TradeGecko as well. Now, we also have some really useful features like keep selling past zero on either an e-commerce store or keep selling past zero on the B2B e-commerce store, which is directly plugged into TradeGecko, right? So if you are waiting for something to arrive from a supplier, but you want to give your customers access, these two would be pretty good features to have on hand. But at the same time, TradeGecko would still be managing the inventory for you. Now, as you can see, we have different tabs over here for these images that will help you manage the information of what's being pushed from TradeGecko to an e-commerce store or a marketplace, right? So any images that you upload into TradeGecko, any stock by location, and if a location is assigned to that e-commerce store, will be reflected here as well. And you can even set reorder points per product and per location. So if you have like a popular t-shirt, you obviously want to set a lower reorder point for that, so that you can automatically reorder from a supplier right from within your TradeGecko account. Cool. So I'm going to move on to relationships. This is where you obviously manage everyone you deal with in your business, right? So consumers are customers that we automatically pull in from, let's say, the Rocketspark integration whenever an order is made. Business customers are what we call B2B or wholesale clients, and then suppliers would just be your suppliers. So if I click on the business customer as an example, you can obviously assign defaults to these guys, right? Because you'd want to be able to keep track of the different nuances there, right? Like a price list, a salesperson, a payment term, and a payment method. Whereas if you go to the consumer, all of that information is already pulled in from the Rocketspark or whatever e-commerce store you're using whenever an order comes in for that particular client. This becomes simpler when you guys are creating orders on behalf of your client or processing the order to fulfillment, because you'll have all that information there when we move in to the sales orders tab. Right, so this is the sales orders tab. This is where you process basically every order that's coming in from your different channels. E-commerce orders come in as invoiced and paid already. And normally our clients pack and ship to fulfill the order from within TradeGecko. If they're a larger company and they're working with a 3PL, they have that plugged into TradeGecko, and that order is sent to the third-party logistics company for the fulfillment to be done, right? But as you can see here, there's a column that says channel, which indicates where the order has come from, right? So if it's a Rocketspark order, you'll see that logo here. If it's a order that's come from our B2B store, you'll see it here. And the rest of these that have no logo are actually ones that I've created within this account. Now, I'm just going to open up a sample order so you can see what it looks like. And I want to show you guys a few things in terms of what we can do for stock management, right? So this order is a finalized order, which means the stock that's on this order has been committed, right? And I can, because this is a wholesale order, I can actually invoice it from TradeGecko, and this invoice is pushed over to the accounting system. I can also mark it as paid here or in my accounting platform. If it's zero, it's a two-way payment sync. And so you don't need to be doing those things twice. And then I can create shipments here as well, right? So I can do a partial shipment or a full shipment, right? But if you notice one thing, it says here that I only have minus 11 in stock, but the order has come in for 40. So this is something that I'm obviously selling past zero. And TradeGecko does a couple of things. It shows me that you need to create a purchase order in order to fulfill this. And I've already done that. So I can go over here and see that there's a purchase order within the system that's linked to that back order that we just went to on the sales order side, right? So it's a very streamlined way of monitoring things and making sure that you're fulfilling the order with the latest due date first, or the earliest due date first, so your clients don't get upset or any delays, right? So I'm just going to add a landed cost to this purchase order. Let's say my supplier has fulfilled this, it's in my warehouse. I know that I have to pay maybe $10 for shipping, and I want to add maybe any duties that I have to pay on top of that, and save, right? So TradeGecko gives you the option to receive this full amount, or if the supplier hasn't really fulfilled that, you can receive what they've sent you in that box. But I'm going to keep it simple, receive everything. so that I can fulfill that sales order, right? So going back to that back order, just refreshing it. It shows me that it's been received, and then I can now start fulfilling in terms of what's available on this particular purchase order over here, right? So just going back to the stock control section, as you could see, we created a purchase order from there, which means this is when you replenish or you want to replenish your items and reorder from a supplier. We can also do stock transfers. So if you guys are dealing with, multiple locations, for example, I had a client that had one main warehouse, but 8 retail stores, right? So they had to do a stock transfer from their main warehouse to those stores on a weekly basis, right? So you can select the source, select the destination, and then type the items that you want. Or if they're using barcode scanners, they can scan the items in um, to transfer from one location to another, right? So when I create the transfer, you'll see that there's an option to receive and credit this item to the destination. And TradeGecko does adjustments as well. So if you have, for any reason, there's been an adjustment in your warehouse, you can select that warehouse here. You can select a reason. So these are just the default reasons that come within your account, but you can obviously set up as many customized reasons as you want within the settings tab. And it obviously can be mirrored to your business model, right? So if you have any damaged goods, again, type up the item, tell us the quantity change, and we'll give you the cost per item, which is automatically pulled up from the information that you've put in on the inventory tab here, right? So all of the actions that you do here on TradeGecko are pushed over to the corresponding systems, right? So if, let's say, you have Rocketspark connected to us, but are also doing wholesale, we'll automatically deduct the availability from your store. If a wholesale order is processed here, we'll also push that order to 0, and any adjustments that you make here will be pushed over to Xero or QuickBooks Online, whichever accounting system you guys are using, right? Okay, stock takes. In terms of adjustment, this is our most helpful tool. We work with a lot of businesses that have been doing this manually for quite some time. So the stock take tool was built so that you can do an inventory count of your warehouse and update those numbers right from within your TradeGecko account. So as you can see, you just have to select the location that you're doing the stock take in, choose which mode you want, barcode or manual. I don't have a barcode on me, so I'm going to choose the manual mode. And basically, it pulls up all the variants or all the products that you have in that one location. You can put in the new quantities if you want, right over here on the items that are affected. And you'll see that the change will be reflected here. Now, once you view the summary and finalize, this then gets pushed as a stock adjustment within your TradeGecko account so that you have a record of what's been done and who's done it as well, right over here. Okay, moving
So I was
forward.
sorry, Chachi. So I was just going to jump in there and just say, it seems to me like TradeGecko is a really good source of like product truth. Like if everything is syncing into the same place, the customers know exactly what's where and how much of it, which is a really great feature.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why people come to us, right? They're working off of so many different systems. We've seen people selling on, let's say, Rocketspark and doing wholesale, and maybe they have a retail store as well. So those are already like 3 systems that are not connected. Whereas if you have something like TradeGecko and you use integrations that we work with, you can plug that all in. So if you're a business owner or if you have staff that's running this day to day, it's very clear to them, how Rocketspark is doing versus how wholesale is doing, how much they have left, so on and so forth. And then they can take action from within their account as well with that information.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool.
Yep. Um, so I wanted to run you through the B2B side of things. We do have a B2B e-commerce store. A lot of people love this because it's quite difficult to make wholesalers make the transition from email orders to online, but it does happen, right? So essentially, what this is a private website for your wholesalers, right? So what would happen is that, assuming that you have all your relationships set up in terms of your business customers and you have contacts within those businesses, you can actually invite them to the B2B. They start logging in, and they can start ordering from you with the price list and the discount structure that you assigned to them, right? And this would include rules like minimum order quantities and values. It's a very simple store, if I'm being honest with you. The most you can customize is the logo and the color scheme. Um, some people, if they're on one of the higher plans, they're able to change and customize this URL. Otherwise, it would be generically .gogecko.com. And you can preview the store as a customer, right? So right now I'm previewing it as Richard. I have some items on order. I can add more if I want, right? And this automatically gets added to my shopping cart, where I can do a quick check, amend the quantities, and then check out. Now, I obviously can't check out because I'm admin, but basically there's two paths to check out. The first is normal bank transfers, right? We know wholesalers usually pay after 30 or 60 days. And that's fine. They'll just receive the invoice in their email and they can process it after the 30 or 60 days have lapsed. The second way is through TradeGecko Pay, right? So this is what I was talking about earlier in this diagram. So because I can't check out, I can't show you that path, but I can show you a sales order with TradeGecko Pay enabled, so you know what your customers will be viewing, right? So this is a customer that has TradeGecko Pay enabled on their account. And if they receive this, if they follow the checkout path or they receive this invoice in their email, they can simply click on Pay Now, enter their credit card information, right? And click Pay, right? We've white labeled this through Stripe, right? So if there's any fees attached to this, that's Stripe charging you for whatever is the fee in this particular region. We've done a lot of improvements to the B2B actually. So if you can see, we've just released abandoned carts, which basically tells you, someone's got into the B2B, not checked out, and added stuff to their cart, right? So you can say, hey, Richard, I saw you were on the store 2 minutes ago. You haven't checked out. Is there anything wrong? Is there anything I can do? Right? All of these little things that help you build stronger relationships with your customers. We have promotions as well. So you can create a promotion on the B2B store, invite, either all your customers, specific customers, or customer groups, whether they're VIP, new customers, VVIP, right? Again, this is set on the relationships tab, but basically those that are invited will have the promotion name, the code, and the value already applied to their shopping cart so they can check out at that discounted rate. And soon, we're going to be releasing Google Analytics for B2B and Facebook Pixel as well, right? I can't talk too much about this because we don't have much information, but soon these two things are coming out. Okay, so back to the main TradeGecko account, the last feature that I wanted to show you as kind of a main feature is the intelligence section. So this is our way of just giving you an overview of what's gone on in your account. So if you want to run a sales report or maybe an inventory report to show you your stock on hand values, your stock by location, or just inventory details in general, you can access these reports, save them, and if you use them often, you can actually pin them over here so that you just have to manipulate the date range moving forward, and you wouldn't have to keep changing the metrics within this report. Last thing that I wanted to bring up is the forecasting tool. So I think this is very useful for people that have been with TradeGecko for a while. And I say that because we actually have the data to build an accurate forecast for you, right? So we'll ask you when you use this, what is the lead time that you have from your suppliers? What is the stock cover? Like how many number of days do you need? And what is the safety stock that you'd like to have? And then from that information, we will generate this forecast that tells you when you should order by and how many you should be reordering from your supplier over here. And then you can just keep adding this to your purchase orders as you start working off of TradeGecko. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a pause there. That's basically it. We do have other modules. So I'm going to, let the questions come in first and then dive into it if need be from there.
So just one from me, Chachi. In terms of the kind of expandability of the system, one of the questions we get asked a lot generally around, do you integrate with this shipping provider? Do you integrate with this shipping provider? And that's something that Rocketspark might not necessarily do, but you just touched on that you can connect in with ShipIt and ShipStation and a few others. And would you also kind of talk a little bit more about the extra marketplace integrations as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple of shipping aggregators that are quite popular in this region. So StarShipIt is one, ShipIt is another, EasyShip as well is another one. So these are just a few examples, but I can obviously send you the list of the full integrations, which is on the website anyway, if you want to check it out. In terms of marketplaces, the strongest and most popular connections are Amazon and eBay. So if you guys have merchants that are looking to sell on those two channels, there is a direct integration with TradeGecko already.
That's fantastic. And then with the B2B e-commerce scenario, so obviously the way that TradeGecko syncs all of that, all of the stock numbers and inventory management stuff, if you're selling sort of retail on Rocketspark, we could have a link that says B2B, click here, and then it takes them to that integrated TradeGecko page, and then they just log in with their details, and then they see their pricing. Cool.
Absolutely. Actually, there's one example that I love to show, just because this guy has been using TradeGecko for so long, and they are massive fans of our B2B. So this is a customer in the US, and this is their e-commerce store, right? So as you can see, you can scroll down. It actually redirects you to the TradeGecko B2B, where the customers put in their email and their password, and then click start ordering to access that site.
And that's cool. And because we've got Steve, who's watching the session, they have a range of pharmacies that they're looking at doing inventory management for. And so having a single source of inventory, and then those pharmacies on their Rocketspark stores tapping into that inventory system.
Got it. Yeah. So because they're marketplaces, they're very different from something like a Rocketspark that is very flexible, right? So as you'll see later on, when you do the Rocketspark integration, we actually pull in the products from there into your TradeGecko account as a shortcut. If you're doing marketplaces like eBay on Amazon, you would have to create the listing on TradeGecko and have that mirror Amazon or eBay once you do the integration, so that we match the products by the SKU. And then we fire the sync up every 5 minutes to see if there's been any changes in inventory from there.
Cool. And in terms of like investment versus return, do you see that a lot of the TradeGecko customers that have made the effort to get match fit for the Amazon integration and things, that they're finding it a valuable marketplace to be a part of?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely like a next step after publishing like an e-commerce store with your brand. So if you have a business owner that's in New Zealand but is looking to go to Australia or the rest of APAC, Amazon is like a great next step, right? And then it's also a little bit cheaper than, building another extension of an e-commerce store that they have to maintain on their own, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I just wanted to say, like, if you have any customers that, are in cosmetics, in the pharmaceutical industry, or even food and beverage, TradeGecko has both a manufacturing module as well as batching and expiry dates, right? So if these guys are looking for that, we definitely offer it.
I just want to show you how simple it is to do the TradeGecko integration. So this is just an example store. I've already got some products and things loaded in here, but what I want to do is I want to join up with TradeGecko. So if I come into my store settings and then come down to TradeGecko settings, you'll see I've already logged into my TradeGecko account here. If not, it's a fairly easy sign-up process for the client. I'm just going to click I have a TradeGecko account. And hopefully the internet is still going nice and strong today. Perfect. So I've connected it to TradeGecko. It's now asking me a couple of basic kind of questions, and these are based on the settings in your TradeGecko side of things. So you've got different kinds of tax. We're obviously just going to choose sales tax, and then our currency is New Zealand dollar. If you set up different shipping countries, you'll be able to choose those tax rates and those currencies from there. And in terms of the product sync, what's really cool is that you can, because we've got some existing products already on our Rocketspark store, we can actually push those back to TradeGecko. So we don't need to worry about manually loading them into TradeGecko. We can do the sync backwards, but we can also pull through all the products that we have from TradeGecko. And so what's really cool is that we can tell where we want the stock levels to be changed from. And you saw Chachi before with the different kind of locations that you can have. So we're just going to choose our primary location. And the price list. So again, you can set up different price lists for different customers. So you can have a different price list for people that are shopping in store or your wholesale customers, or in this case, we've got our website pricing. And then what's really cool is that you can choose to sync certain tags. So we've gone through in TradeGecko and we've tagged up all the products that we want to bring online. And so we choose that we just want the online ones, and away they go. The other thing to note too, and this is a favorite feature of Grant's, is being able to choose which product details come through. So Grant, as you may know, was one of the co-owners of Pure and Wholesome. And Pure and Wholesome, they used a big retail wholesaler as their primary source of products, and they were on TradeGecko. And so Grant could go through and choose all the products that he wanted to pull from that wholesaler and bring them into his Pure and Wholesome e-commerce site. But because a lot of retailers were using the same wholesaler, things like the title and description were often the same on all of those websites. So as you all know, Google and SEO don't really like duplicate content. So Grant would untick the title and the description, and then they produce their own titles and descriptions for the products that they pulled through. So that was pretty cool, pretty handy kind of thing to know. And especially if your clients are dealing with a big wholesaler, that's an option for them as well. So you'll see that I've got 17 products in TradeGecko. And if I click the import button, it will bring those through for me. And then I've also got exportable products. So those are all the products that I've already had in my Rocketspark e-commerce store. And if I click export, it will basically take those from the Rocketspark e-commerce ecosystem and drop them into the TradeGecko system. So what's really cool is as you update or change all of your kind of product details, it will automatically sync periodically, but you can also come into your settings and do the push from there. And that's it. It's a pretty simple integration, especially if you're dealing with an existing Rocketspark e-commerce shop that you want to take into the TradeGecko ecosystem, or if you're have an existing TradeGecko customer who might be using a different e-commerce platform. It's a fairly simple process to be able to load up all those products and bring them through. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's also some stuff around composite products, and you saw that Chachi had some of those bundles before, and so TradeGecko kind of manages those. If you've got like some special bundles for special offers, TradeGecko can manage that much more sophisticated way than what you would have to do in Rocketspark, just using the standard functionality. So yeah, so that's kind of it. If we jump into our products, hopefully we might see a few of our new products start loading in. If we just go to our next page here. Where are we? So you see that some of our TradeGecko products are starting to pull through. And obviously, if we had all the correct pricing and product information and pictures, you'd see all that too.